What it is, coming in a little early today. What it is, everybody, including YouTube. Hey, YouTube. Jerks. I came back today. I mean, the channel came back. People got to see the interview with John McAfee. I've been missing. I'll replay this on there, but hopefully now people understand. People for YouTube, you're hearing this. I got a strike, right? I can show you my face. For hate speech. Hate speech. One of my latest videos. Oops. Not ready for the show yet. Let's see if we can get my lips to match up. There we go. Better. So I got a strike, and I've been gone for the last week. So why do I do my live show on DLive and Twitch? That's why. That's why you guys need to tune over there. So people say, oh, you can't leave YouTube. You can't leave YouTube. Well, I don't know. YouTube doesn't really want me there. So why am I hanging out with a girlfriend that doesn't like me? Why am I staying in an abusive relationship? Here's the big news today. I'll open with a little news clip.
New reports are fueling the mystery around the death of Jeffrey Epstein. The Washington Post is reporting that new details on the millionaire's autopsy results. Epstein apparently had several broken neck bones, including the hyoid bone. It can be broken by suicide, but it's more commonly associated with murder by strangulation. The Post reports Epstein's official cause of death is still pending, however.
Well, this all comes as Epstein's accused.
Murder by strangulation. We're going to get into it today. We're going to get into it today. Thanks everybody who caught the interview that played earlier today on my channel. And just because we were talking about chain-smoking John McAfee, who we believe might have been deceptive in certain parts of the interview, not surprising, including about his location, his lack of wealth, and his and the moon landing. We believe he was deceptive on the moon landing. I asked him how the president had an instantaneous connection with the moon from his landline on the desk in the Oval Office. He said, big antenna, he said, no problem. So I think he was making that up. He worked for NASA from 1968 to 1970. So this headline caught my eye. There's a new tell-all book. This is just from today, so maybe the interview is big news. It happened last Friday, for everybody who thought it was live. It happened before the Jeffrey Epstein murder, which is what we have to assume it is now. New tell-all book exposes John McAfee's crimes against humanity. Someone who apparently did some work for Mr. McAfee and then got pissed off when McAfee cut ties with him, decided to write a book about all the bad things John McAfee's been up to. Here's just a small list. He says in his book, Edwards details a harrowing journey navigating through shark-infested waters and drug-fueled tirades with the McAfee clan. claimed he paid off a Bahamian police officer to fund a drug cartel. He signed an affiliate deal so McAfee's earned income would be untraceable. Stealing and possibly killing an innocent pig. Trafficking hundreds of thousands of dollars into Cuba without claiming them to customs. He said he didn't have any money. Meanwhile, he had $100,000 cash, at least, which he's talked about, that he had to check in when he was arrested in the Dominican Republic. So quite an interesting story from that character. We would have asked him about the Epstein suicide murder and what he knew about it. You can't report on Epstein news and still have that news be totally current the next day. Every day brings us new revelations about Jeffrey Epstein. And now, what did I call this episode? Epstein murder unraveling. That's because of the report in the Washington Post today. Well, partially. Autopsy finds broken bones in Jeffrey Epstein's neck, deepening questions around his death. This article says an autopsy found. So, what about the body double? We know for a fact it was a body double on that stretcher. So, what's going on with the information coming out? The original conclusion of the autopsy was that there was no conclusion. So now more information about the autopsy is coming out, again by anonymous sources. Don't know how much to trust this news. First of all, allegedly, Mr. Epstein committed suicide by leaning forward from tying his bed sheets to the top bunk, which other inmates say was actually impossible. Because if it were possible, everybody would do it, right? If it was easy to commit suicide in your cell just because your guards were asleep. An autopsy found that financier Jeffrey Epstein suffered multiple breaks in his neck bones, according to two people familiar with the findings, deepening the mystery about the circumstances around his death. Among the bones broken in Epstein's neck was the hyoid bone, which in men is near the Adam's apple. Such breaks can occur in those who hang themselves. They can occur in those that hang themselves, particularly if they are older. But they are more common in victims of homicide by strangulation, experts said. The Office of New York City's Chief Medical Examiner, Barbara Sampson, completed an autopsy on Sunday, but she had listed the cause of death as pending. Asked about the neck injuries, which have been reported by sources familiar with the matter, Sampson said in a statement that no single factor in an autopsy can alone provide a conclusive answer about what happened. She said, quote, "In all forensic investigations, all information must be synthesized to determine the cause and manner of death. Everything must be consistent. No single finding can be evaluated in a vacuum," unquote. Tim Pool, I was watching today, he's reporting on this. Tim Pool hates conspiracy theories. I get angry sometimes when he talks about it. He says, "I don't like conspiracy theories. People who talk about vaccines said, well, maybe once something happened, Gulf of Tonkin, I don't know, don't quote me on that." But this one, as far as conspiracy theories, they're putting it right in our damn face. A lot of people are going to ask why they're putting it in our face, why they're giving us this information. And I guess I have to ask that myself. Especially people who think that he escaped and that he was spirited away. Maybe he had a dead man switch. Maybe they made him a deal to keep him alive. Apparently, the first time he supposedly killed himself, he said that he didn't tried to kill himself. Did I say first time he supposedly killed himself? First time he supposedly tried to kill himself. He says he didn't try to kill himself. Let me just see if there's anything else from this article. Officially, the guards fell asleep. I don't believe that for a second. I think that's a crazy story. Thanks, R, for the diamond. I'll go back to this picture of painting of Bill Clinton. We'll talk to you about that. So there, beyond that, there's an interview from yesterday from the New York Post and another exclusive from the New York Post. Epstein's last words to lawyer before his jailhouse death. I'll read to you from this. Jeffrey Epstein was confident he could fight the child sex trafficking charges against him and was in quote-unquote great spirits just hours before his jailhouse death on Saturday morning, even telling one of his lawyers, quote, "I'll see you Sunday," unquote. The Post has learned. The convicted pedophile also told his lawyers that the neck injuries he suffered in an earlier incident at the MCC were inflicted by his hulking ex-cop cellmate. He said that the neck injuries he suffered in the earlier incident were inflicted by his ex-cop cellmate, a guy that supposedly killed 4 people and was Epstein's roommate, apparently at one point, which led the lawyers to request that he be taken off of suicide watch, according to a source familiar with Epstein's case, another source. Because he was able to convince, well, the argument from his attorneys was that he didn't try to commit suicide the first time, so therefore he shouldn't be on suicide watch. That makes sense? Apparently they argued that. Epstein's optimism behind bars, expressed during daily visits with his lawyers that lasted up to 12 hours each, was so great that it struck some of those around him as delusional, the source said. Epstein was having daily visits with his lawyers. He was paying to be able to meet with his attorneys up to 12 hours a day so that he'd have company, and he's able to meet with them in a closed room. And something else, he met with somebody else in that same room, and I'm going to tell you about that. That's a shocking story from today. People said he was delusional for being so positive. Quote, he thought he was going to win the double jeopardy motion, unquote. The source said what he really wanted to do was get bail so he could cooperate, the source said. But whatever evidence Epstein may have had against his rich and powerful former friends died with him because he kept no diary or notes that documented any alleged wrongdoing, the source said. The source continued, quote, he was delusional. He thought he was going to get the same deal he got in Florida. While locked up at the MCC, Epstein's mood rarely wavered during the 7 days a week meetings with his lawyers, which routinely began at 8 a.m. Quote, every day he was very positive, and the night before he was real positive. He was in great spirits the night before. That's the night before he died, allegedly. Epstein even told the lawyer who met with him on Friday that he was looking forward to their next visit. It's unclear whether Epstein's sustained sunny disposition was sincere or part of an elaborate act designed to enable him to kill himself. And then this is the official story. Around 6:30 a.m. Saturday, he was found kneeling, his 6-foot frame with a bed sheet wrapped around his neck and secured to the top of a bunk bed in his cell, law enforcement officials have said. Others have said that that would be impossible. There's only been one other suicide ever at the MCC, from what I understand. At the time of the original incident, he was sharing a cell with Nicholas Tartaglione, who is facing a death penalty trial for 4 drug-related slayings. Epstein told his lawyers that, quote, the cop roughed him up, and that's why they got him off suicide watch, unquote. Tartagliane's lawyer disputes that. Said, quote, I spoke to his lawyers and they never hinted at that to me, but he must have said something to get off suicide watch. He says he does know that Nick was not brought up on any charges, so he was cleared. Quote, it's simply patently false to say that Epstein did anything other than try to kill himself at least twice and succeeded when he succeeded. He added, quote, we were a little worried that he would make something up to get out of suicide watch or try and argue for bail, but it's pretty clear what happened given the end result here, unquote. For some reason, Tartagliane's attorney wants to make it clear that it's obvious Epstein wanted to kill himself. He tried to kill himself once and successfully did it the second time. However, we're being told in the news that he had broken bones, that he had, in order to argue himself off of suicide watch, he claimed that the first time was not a suicide attempt. We still have no conclusion from an autopsy, and we only have leaked information that he had broken bones, including a broken hyoid bone. Another story came out today, and I'll get to the kind of the most shocking story. A story from New York Magazine from The Intelligencer details a conversation with Epstein's former bodyguard, a former MMA fighter named Igor. I'll have to get to these quotes. Igor Zinoviev was Epstein's driver in Palm Beach, a driver and bodyguard in Palm Beach, and went with him everywhere, including New York, Arizona, or New Mexico, and the island. He says a few interesting things in this video, in this interview, although he seems hesitant to say things he said before, especially about underage girls being with Jeffrey Epstein. The writer of the article, who had interviewed him before, asks him about things he said before about underage girls being around Epstein and how he didn't like underage girls being around Epstein. During this phone call, which apparently was on the record, he says that he never saw her with teenage girls. He said this: it's not the teenage girls. English isn't his first language. I never see the teenage girls. I tell you, I never see teenage girls. Plenty of times when I work for him, I never see anything improper or teenage girls around him. That's what I say. Let me just get you to where he says. She asks him what he thought about him being dead, given his connection with him. And he said it wasn't a big deal. She asked, or the reporter asked, what did you think when you found that out, that he was dead? What did I think? Yeah. Are you sure you want to hear what I'm going to think? Yeah. Somebody helped him do it. You think somebody helped him kill himself? Yeah. Okay, why? Listen, that's going a little too deep. And then I'll go on to where he tells her, or tells the journalist, I believe it's female. Here. One thing, this is from the journalist. One thing you told me, for instance, okay? One thing you told me is he got a heads up when the authorities were going to come to his house the night before. He says, listen, what you say is between you and me. You told me he would get phone calls the night before, and 8 o'clock the police are going to come. He would get a heads up from local police. Silence. You told me that, Igor. Want me to read the quote? He says, well, you can read whatever you want right now. You can put yourself in big trouble. You said, quote, he always do something wrong. There were some nights in question. There was at-home arrest and police. Before they come to the house, they call him and tell him they're coming at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's all corruption, It's all bullshit, unquote. He says, listen, don't put yourself in trouble. Seriously. We talked about this. I understand we got this. I'm telling you to give you a chance to remember because we talked about this stuff. I know it's hard. I don't know what you mean about put myself in trouble. Let that go. Seriously, let that go. Why is it so important? Are you worried about the local cops? Listen, you're really smart, and I'm not going to offer that over the phone right now, okay? You're really smart. You have no idea. Please. What do you mean by that? I can't explain you. I can't explain you over the phone any of this. And then he rushes himself off the phone. He says, but just be careful. I'm not kidding. What's your email so I can send you? Don't do any of that stuff. Just don't play it. Seriously. Can you tell me why? I can't. Can I ask you one more question? Have you been talking to anyone in the government, the FBI? Have they come to you? Long pause. Great talking to you. Seriously, we talk later, he said. Thanks, R, for the Ninja Guineas. I appreciate the support. So here's a bodyguard, former bodyguard for Epstein, former bodyguard and driver, telling a reporter that they need to be careful about what they're reporting on. So that is new news today from New York Magazine, The Intelligencer, who has been reporting on the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Now, this is breaking news today from Forbes. Shocking news. Jeffrey Epstein spent time alone with a young female prison visitor. You believe this? Jeffrey Epstein spent time alone with a young female prison visitor. The day after he was taken off suicide watch, disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein spent at least 2 hours locked up alone with a young woman in a private room reserved for inmates and their attorneys, according to an attorney who was visiting the prison that day. Quote, the optics were startling because she was young and pretty, said the attorney, who asked that his name not be used because he didn't want to anger the prison administration. NBC News reported that Epstein paid his lawyers to sit with him in a room for 8 hours a day for attorney-client meetings, allowing him to avoid his cell. The visiting attorney went to the Manhattan Correctional Center on July 30th, a day after Epstein was reportedly taken off suicide watch and transferred into the special housing unit. During the hours the visiting attorney was present, it wasn't Epstein's main lawyer or other named attorneys who visited him. Quote, if I was him, I would have hired an old bald guy, unquote, said the lawyer, who said the young woman was in there with Epstein for at least 2 hours when he was there. He also pointed out that the room is locked when prisoners go in after their handcuffs are removed, and unlocked only when prisoners leave and handcuffs are put back on. Epstein's daily occupation of the room in the SHU was a sore point for attorneys trying to visit their clients. Instead of waiting 15 minutes for a room, the wait could stretch for 2 hours, as it was that day. Quote, they wouldn't move anybody until he got where he was going, which is what they used to do with El Chapo too. the visiting attorney said. There are 12 visiting rooms at MCC, but only 2 for attorneys visiting SHU clients. That means Epstein was monopolizing a scarce resource. It was unusual because, quote, you meet with your lawyers as needed, unquote. He added that it would be difficult for any other lawyer to monopolize an interview room every day if the lawyer didn't have 8 hours of work to do with a client. And in the visiting attorney's experience, based on the early stages of Epstein's case, he definitely wouldn't need that much time every day with his lawyers. David Patton, an executive director of Federal Defenders of New York, said that spending 8 hours a day in the MCC meeting rooms is unusual and that attorneys typically couldn't do that. Quote, we don't have the ability to spend that kind of time on a single visit. The waits can be very long and aggravating. We're talking about very special treatment here, ladies and gentlemen. As for Epstein's companion, the visiting attorney noted that she didn't seem to have any files with her. He speculated that she could have been a first-year associate and that she was dressed casually. Quote, it was slacks and a blouse. Could have been jeans or another kind of pants, but like Sunday brunch attire, unquote. The visiting attorney said the treatment reminded him of Epstein's lifestyle in Florida when he served 13 months on a prostitution charge. Then Epstein would leave jail and go to his office for up to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Quote, it sounded to me like a replay of the Florida thing, where he got to go to his office and sit around rather than sit in a cell, unquote. He said it would be a terrible thing for visiting attorneys because they'd be monopolizing the time. Sounds like Epstein was getting special treatment while in jail, even though he's a high-profile prisoner, detainee. I was listening to Sean Atwood, who's doing a lot of popular videos right now about Jeffrey Epstein. He has a story. He made this video before the news came out about what seems to be a conjugal visit for Epstein. So he has a story about that he heard about somebody else's treatment. He said this before the article came out that I just read to you about the special treatment that Epstein was receiving while he was in custody.
His optimism was clear to his lawyers during the daily legal visits. I was allowed, so many hours a week. He's getting daily legal visits. This is the kind of pull this guy had. Although there was one Italian mafia guy in my building. He had his girlfriend come in. He had so much pull over the jail, he completely corrupted it. And he was out smoking with the guards at night when we were all locked down, giving the guards orders. And he had his girlfriend come as a lawyer, under a legal visit, and she was performing oral sex on him in the legal visit room. So the system is so corruptible. And this guy, this Italian mafia guy, I'm sure he had nowhere near as much money as Epstein. So you can imagine with Epstein throwing his money around, the kind of things he could have corrupted and got away with.
There you go. Well, like I said, he's clairvoyant. He's basically talking about what happened with Epstein is he had a woman show up as if she was an attorney. And, I guess we can use our imagination as to what happened in there. Pretty shocking information. Are people contacting you? Are you a conspiracy theorist? Are your friends contacting you to ask you what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein, what you think's going on with Jeffrey Epstein? That's what's now. Everybody, even Tim Pool. Tim Pool believes in conspiracy theories as long as they're reported in the MSM. Well, now we have the biggest conspiracy theory of all time. They're still getting mad at Donald Trump for reporting on it, though. I'm sorry, not reporting on it, retweeting it. Retweeting the Clinton conspiracy theory. The Clinton body count conspiracy theory. So I broke news yesterday. This is why the news changes day to day. Yesterday, the Daily Mail reported that they found out Ghislaine Maxwell is being sued, okay? Ghislaine Maxwell and other co-conspirators have been named in this lawsuit from Jennifer Rose, saying that Epstein forcibly raped her when she was 14 or 15 years old, that she was recruited, that Maxwell facilitated in the recruitment. That's all right here. Names other unnamed defendants, including a secretary, someone identified as recruiter, someone identified as secretary, someone identified as maid. Part of the complaint says, according to court records, defendant Maxwell participated with and assisted Epstein in maintaining and protecting a sex trafficking ring, ensuring that approximately 3 girls a day were made available to him for his sexual pleasure. According to court records, Maxwell provided organizational support to Epstein's sex trafficking ring, identifying and hiring the recruiters of underage girls for Epstein's sexual pleasure, scheduling appointments with these underage girls for Epstein's sexual pleasure, intimidating potential witnesses to Epstein's sex trafficking operation, and generally providing administrative oversight of his sex trafficking operation and ensuring it remains secret. Upon information and belief, Maxwell conspired with Epstein in the implementation and maintenance of his criminal enterprise, which in turn victimized Ms. Rose. That's part of a lawsuit filed yesterday, along with a lot of other child sex abuse lawsuits under a new law in New York State right now. New law in New York State allows you, for a year, starting yesterday, victims of child sex abuse can sue the perpetrator or the enablers of their abuse without any statute of limitations. That just started yesterday. And I believe that maybe when this lawsuit was filed with that new provision. So in New York State, starting yesterday, you can sue anybody who perpetrated child sex abuse at any time. And apparently the lawsuits are going to particularly hit hard the Catholic Church and the Boy Scouts of America, as well as Jehovah's Witnesses, I believe, and others. So look for those lawsuits to come out. It could result in a lot of new sex abuse cases coming forward. You might find that people who are accused in one case might be accused in another case. We might find out a lot more about child sex abuse in the state of New York from this because of this new law going into effect. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, it was reported yesterday in the Daily Mail that she was hanging out in Massachusetts with this tech guy. Here's an article from the Daily Beast. Where in the world is Ghislaine Maxwell? So the story was that she was holed up in Massachusetts based on somebody who apparently saw her there with this guy. This guy, Scott Borgerson. And the thing that makes this interesting, in addition to information that this guy has been connected to Ghislaine for a long time, in partnership on her ocean stuff, she ended up having a business having to deal with the ocean and sovereignty of the ocean and so forth. I believe she did a tech talk. So she's been linked to this guy, was supposedly staying in his home in Massachusetts. Nobody can find any evidence for sure that she was there. But one of the important things about this guy's previous career, and listed on his LinkedIn page here, is that before founding his current company, Cargo Metrics, Scott was a fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, where he's a life member. Council on Foreign Relations, where he is a life member. So you have Ghislaine, who's a spy. We have to assume that Epstein was doing work that partially involved the U.S. government. Ghislaine, therefore, was involved in work involving the U.S. government and a compromise operation, it seems like. This guy who's connected with, the deep state, the top of the pyramid, CFR, ends up hooking up with her, right? How does that look? This guy, former Coast Guard officer, who she called her Navy SEAL, works with other military veterans in his businesses, working with this sexual predator, Ghislaine Maxwell. The Daily Beast says friends of Maxwell tell the Daily Beast that she is laying low in France, where she's been known to stay at Epstein's residence on Paris's exclusive Avenue Foch near the Arc de Triomphe. But she isn't responding to even her closest friend's calls, said one person who's been trying to reach her in recent weeks. Reached by the Daily Beast, Borgerson, this when she was reported to be in Massachusetts, Borgerson denied that he was dating Maxwell or that she was staying at his home. Quote, Ghislaine is not at my house. She's a friend, former friend, not true. He went on to say, the police are coming to my house. No one's home except my cat. In a text message, he added, quote, hi, I'm traveling abroad for business. Ghislaine Maxwell is not at my home, and I don't know where she is. I'm passionate about ocean policy and wish people were as interested in Jones Act reform, joining the law of the sea, and funding icebreakers, unquote. Borgerson was listed as director of Maxwell's ocean nonprofit, which was called the Terramar Project, in a 2013 tax filing. That year, Maxwell and Borgerson both attended the Arctic Circle Assembly in Reykjavik. And while Maxwell was representing Terramar, Borgerson was there as CEO of Cargo Metrics, which is a Boston-based firm that, quote, delivers transformative quantitative investing and maritime shipping solutions, anchored in its proprietary platform that tracks all seaborne cargoes and vessels, unquote. 2014, a United Nations event featured Maxwell as a speaker. It described Maxwell as, quote, a private helicopter pilot and an emergency medical technician and a qualified ROV and deep worker submarine pilot, unquote, aka a spy. Apparently, she spoke 4 languages, too. A former Coast Guard officer, Borgerson was also a fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, which featured Borgerson and Maxwell as speakers during a 2014 talk called Governing the Ocean Commons, Growing Challenges, New Approaches. Friends of Maxwell, according to the New York Times, said Borgerson became her boyfriend, and she allegedly described him as a Navy SEAL. Her charity, Terramar, was also funded by the Clinton Global Initiative. And we know about Maxwell's ties to the Clintons and that she was present at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. And she found herself photographed near all kinds of famous people, including Elon Musk and others. Ghislaine Maxwell, she's next on the list. She needs to be arrested. Attorney David Boies says, quote, Maxwell is not going to be able to hide. There's no place in the civilized world where she can go and not be found. And unlike Epstein, she does not have the massive resources that would be required to carve out a new life in some obscure place where she cannot be extradited from. He says, I think it's interesting to speculate as to where she is. I also think the most important issue is, where do the prosecutors stand at bringing a case, and is she cooperating, unquote. David Boyce said she cannot hide that she would be extradited. Seems to me like she's in mortal danger, considering that Jeffrey Epstein may have been killed for what he knows. And we have to assume that she knows just as much, and she might have taken notes. So that's the latest update on Epstein. Let me give a shout out to our sponsor, just in case you guys forget about it. Truth Revolution Clothing, truthclothing.io. We have a limited edition item for sale. It's actually this shirt here. If you go to truthclothing.io, you can check out this and our other shirts. This is limited. It will be made to order. So you have a little less than a week to put in your order, and then we'll make it and ship it out. Propaganda. It comes in 3 different styles. Like I said, this is going to be extremely limited. We won't order them for stock. We have a baseball tee, women's slouchy tee. You can get whatever you want, whatever size, and we'll get it printed for you and sent out. If you order now, you'll have it within 3 weeks. We have to close the order period, print the shirts, and then send them out. But everything else is in stock right now, including my Russian bot shirt, which I'm wearing, is still relevant. We actually sent one of those to John McAfee, thinking he'd appreciate it at one point, a long time ago, before the interview. We have our End the Fed shirt, Truth Matters, and women's styles too, including tank tops, including this Question Everything shirt. Free shipping over $50, and it's fast. We have the stuff in stock. We ship them. It's not like Teespring. We have returns if you get the wrong item. We're a real legitimate business with great reviews on the website. So check it out, truthclothing.io. It helps support the show. Thanks everybody who's joining me here on DLive and Twitch, and thanks everybody who supports the show with Lino. We're trying to get by in this world. So we appreciate all the support, especially with the way YouTube is and the way censorship is. And speaking of censorship, you might have heard about the Google whistleblower who officially came out, showed his face, and released a trove of documents from Google that he had taken from Google that were apparently publicly available. Thanks for the ice creams, and thanks Space Chick 7 for the Ninja Guinea. I appreciate it. You guys are great. So cue the smear pieces after this Google insider released actual information and actual documents. Rather than addressing the actual information and the actual documents, Will Sommer, who is an enemy to freedom and is really a terrible propagandist for the other side, who has come out against me and other YouTubers just for reporting on things that we thought were news, decided to come out rather than addressing the facts or the documents that were released, decided to smear this guy as, guess what, an anti-Semite who loves QAnon. Thanks, Jay Wild, for the diamond. And thanks, R, for the Ninja Guinea. This is from the Daily Beast, from Will Sommer. James O'Keefe's Google whistleblower loves QAnon and accused Zionists of running the government. He says now the engineer believes Google is trying to off him. This is all because this whistleblower, Zach Voorhees, told Google he had a dead man switch, and then Google decided to run a wellness check or a mental health check on him when the police showed up and detained him and asked him questions. Not a fun situation, and basically a form of gang stalking. Shows that Google is serious about him taking these documents. Voorhees complains that Google doesn't surface conspiracy theory websites like InfoWars in one of its news search algorithms. He insists that this information is so valuable that he has a credible fear that Google could be, quote, trying to off me, unquote. They pulled up some of his old tweets where he talked about a Zionist occupied government. On his Twitter account, which is @PerpetualManiac, Voorhees repeatedly attacks Jewish people and accused them of a wide range of crimes. He even alleges that Zionists killed conservative publisher and O'Keefe mentor Andrew Breitbart. And he had said in a tweet, quote, "It's very simple. Either you go along with the Zionists or you end up like Andrew Breitbart," unquote. Well, you can't help people that are misinformed. Andrew Breitbart was actually founded in Israel, so actually had a pro-Israel slant to it. So I don't think it was the Zionists that killed Andrew Breitbart. I don't think it was John Podesta that killed Andrew Breitbart. I think, possibly he died of natural causes. Possibly he was killed by somebody else. Probably not Israel. Probably not John Podesta, based on what I know about it. Voorhees accused Israel of plotting the 9/11 attacks, and that's not so far off necessarily. They definitely had foreknowledge of the 9/11 attacks. He encouraged Twitter users to look up 9/11 related conspiracy theory content, providing no evidence, they say. Quote, "Israel and the Zionist cabal planned 9/11 and it's all going to come out," unquote. He also talked about Zog, which I believe was listed along with the other conspiracies that can lead to domestic extremism, Zionist occupation government. He used hashtag Zog and hashtag Illuminati to allege an election was being stolen in Florida. Well, he released quite a few documents too. I downloaded them. I've been going through them a little bit. They're real. They talk about bias against InfoWars. They have a blacklist of websites. Something interesting from this website blacklist, which had all kinds of websites, including the Daily Caller, including Milo Yiannopoulos website, just a ton of websites you would know. InfoWars. The Last American Vagabond was on there too. He's a friend of the show. We do a t-shirt with him, actually. True Pundit. The funny thing about this list, actually, is at the end... Oh, now it's not showing me the same way. At the end, some of the fake news sites, or some of the sites that were known for doing fake stories, were actually mainstream news sites. Now I'm not finding it on the right thing. I'm not showing you guys what I want to show you. Okay. All right. In other news, Bernie sat down with Cardi B. I can't believe this. Bernie Sanders sits down with Cardi B. I just can't believe anybody pals up with Cardi B. I have a great, and speaking of Israel too, there is some news about Israel today. Hashtag boycott Israel was actually trending for a moment on Twitter today. Believe it or not, hashtag boycott Israel was actually trending. I just want to play this thing with Cardi because I can't believe it. This is Cardi B about Bernie Sanders.
And one more thing. I'm tired of people saying like, oh, if Donald Trump become president, oh my God, if he becomes president, stop saying that. Stop visioning it. Stop gassing it because it might happen. Vote for Daddy Bernie, bitch. Y'all love fucking foreign bitches. Them hoes gonna get deported if Trump is president, ho. How about that? And one more thing. I'm tired of people...
Vote for Daddy Bernie, bitch. So this is who Bernie Sanders is sidling up to. Is that what you say? Bernie, listen, Cardi B. Here, anyway, let me just show you a little bit of it. This is serious. This is this old Jewish guy, Bernie Sanders, sitting down with Cardi B.
Senator Bernie Sanders, I am with Cardi B. We're at the 10 Nail Bar in Detroit, Michigan, talking about some of the most important issues that impact you.
Don't you ever feel like scared that like these people that run drug companies and these schools, it's all a business. And it's like, are you scared that you will get so many powerful people upset? I don't know.
Cardi, that's what I've been doing my whole life.
Oh my God.
All right, guys, so this is Cardi and Bernie, and we're out here in Detroit at the 10 Nail Bar, because you know I love nails. You know what I'm saying? A couple of weeks ago, I asked my followers, what type of questions would you like to ask a Democratic candidate?
Hold on. I don't know if I'm living in this world. Anyway, he's going to go on. Well, he opens with his first point. This is why I can't really support Bernie. Not just because of Cardi B, but I mean, come on, seriously. This guy is a serious presidential candidate. Donald Trump met with Kanye West. That was pretty bad. I mean, it is pandering, really. You can meet with colored people. It doesn't have to be retards, though. And I'm talking about people who aren't white. I don't even know what Cardi B is. She acts like a Martian.
Let's go, baby.
My God.
And you know what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to advocate the youth in my community because I feel like there's a serious problem right now in America. We have this bully as a president, and the only way to take him out is somebody winning.
You know, we got to get rid of Donald Trump, obviously. Because Donald Trump is an overt racist. He's way out there.
But right now, people are just not scared to show it.
He's an overt racist. That's what he had to open with. I mean, give me a break. You think that's going to win for him? What do you guys think? Marcus Conte is a big Bernie Sanders fan, but I'm not. I really am not. I'm not really a fan of anybody on the Democrat side, except for I do like Tulsi still. Okay, finally, the Israel news. Ilhan Omar and what's her name? Taleb. What is her name? Rashid. Both got banned from Israel. They both can't go to Israel. Donald Trump says Representatives Omar and Taleb are the face of the Democrat Party and they hate Israel. Hashtag boycott Israel. It was trending for a second. Israel is still trending. Mike Cernovich calls them the Hamas caucus, says they are members of Congress. If we are being serious for a moment, we should ask how today's decision squares with American sovereignty. And then he said, grand plot orchestrated in Israel. There's a word for people who think like this. There's Mike Cernovich, who went after Virginia Roberts on behalf of Alan Dershowitz and Jeffrey Epstein, and then took credit for the Epstein files being unsealed. Mike Cernovich saying that if you're against Israel, you're an anti-Semite. So that's news today. AIPAC actually came out and says it's wrong. AIPAC actually came out and said it was wrong. This is a good tweet. Israeli Mossad running a secret blackmail pedophile ring to control our politicians. But let's focus on two radical leftists no one cares about instead. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good tweet, actually. I would consider retweeting something like that. All right, that's what's going on in the news today. That's what's going on in the news today. I can open up phone calls. I think I had almost an hour worth of material, which is good. Lots of big news about Jeffrey Epstein. To call what was going on in jail irregularities wouldn't describe what was going on. Wouldn't even come close. So let me open the phone. I'll see if anybody wants to call in today. 650-GAY-TAXI. Doshi has been relaxing for most of the show. See, I'm wearing the Russian bot shirt today. Make sure to check out that new design if you want it. It's only going to be on sale for a limited time. Truthclothing.io. Cool new shirt. Thanks for the Diamond Liquid G. I'll see if anybody else has any ideas here. There we go. And if you're watching on YouTube, this is not live. If you're watching on YouTube, it's never live, basically, because of the problems I have. Because the problems I have with YouTube. They can kick me off at any time. So I need to be somewhere where I can be there reliably. So far, I haven't gotten any censorship from DLive. They don't deboost my stream. They don't shadow ban me. All the things that happen at YouTube. All right, let me make sure the phone's open. I'm sorry. There we go. Sorry, somebody was trying to call in. 650 Gay Taxi. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Well, let's see. I have to open up my chat one more time. All right, I see calls coming in. For some reason, they're just not ringing. We have some calls coming in. Check out Doshi, by the way. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hey, Nathan. How's it going?
Good, thanks.
Calling from Gettysburg, PA. Been following this Epstein stuff for a while. I would say, few years when you get labeled a crazy conspiracy guy for pointing out obvious stuff. So that's kind of a headache in itself, getting labeled by other people crazy, but now everything comes to light and it seems to be more truthful than not.
Right.
But I just wanted to, sorry, I kind of tuned in late, been working. What's any information on this Ghislaine Maxwell? And, apparently she's been held up in a $1 million mansion with her CEO boyfriend, and no one's seen her publicly for 3 years. That's kind of weird in itself.
Yeah, I haven't heard of the 3-year part because apparently somebody knew she was there in Massachusetts, but there is an update on that, which is that the owner of the home, this guy Borgerson, he said she's not there with him. He said he's not there either. He said she used to be his friend, but apparently they were boyfriend and girlfriend at one point based on some reports. The Daily Beast is now reporting that they have sources telling them that she's in France right now, staying at one of Epstein's places there in Paris.
Huh.
So
interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of players in this, and hopefully, you start to see the dice roll and the cards fall, but it's a lot of players in this.
Hold on one sec. Hold on one sec. I have a problem. Hold on. Here we go. Hold on one sec. Hold on. I still got another problem. Hold on. Okay. All right. I fixed it. I'm sorry about that.
Hey, no worries, man. No worries. I'm actually on Bluetooth in my car, so that might add to
No, it was some kind of issue on this end. I apologize. So yeah.
Anyway, I'm just calling. Been a viewer for about 1.5 years now. Really like what you're doing, and definitely look forward to your podcast every day. I like that you're keeping it consistent with the Eastern time, roughly 5 o'clock showings. I think that's reaching people really well.
Cool.
Keep it consistent.
Cool. Yeah. I had to do something. I think for this kind of format, it's good for people to know when I'm coming on. So that's great that you're able to tune in. You tune in on DLive?
Right now I'm just on Twitch.
Okay.
I've given up on the YouTube. The YouTube's, you already know about that better than anyone. So
yeah.
I fool around with the DLive a little bit. I don't know about like the Lino and all that, the stickers and stamps and stuff, but I'm getting ready to have surgery here tomorrow, so I'll be sitting on a couch potato for a little bit here, so it might be something I'm looking into, but I just wanted to call in, big viewer, appreciate what you're doing, man. I like your biased opinions, and just want to say thanks, man.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
All right, brother. I got a Boston Terrier at home as well, so
oh, cool.
Kudos to your Bosty, and love Doshi, man.
All right, awesome. I'll let him know.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
See ya. Yeah, we have to get some Sumi merchandise. We do have a Boston Terrier who appears just once in a while on the show. Isn't as much of a star as Doshi. Well, can't climb up on that thing the way Doshi can. Then doesn't know how to relax the same. Sorry, I got a chat issue. I'm trying to pop out the DLive chat. Apparently there's an issue with DLive right now. Apparently there's an issue with DLive. Hopefully it's going to start working again. Thanks, everybody. Here we go. I think it's coming back. just when I was pumping it up, too. I think it fixed itself. You guys can still tune in at Twitch, dlive.tv/lifttheveil, twitch.tv/lifttheveil411. A lot of people watch the replays on Twitch. You can download the app for either one, then just follow the channel, and you'll get notifications when it's live. And then actually it runs a 24-hour replay of all my past shows if you just go to dlive.tv/lifttheveil anytime. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, Nathan.
Hey, what's up?
Sorry, I need to turn off my computer audio. So, breaking news. Maybe you mentioned it. I don't think you did. Apparently, Ghislaine has been spotted in Los Angeles at an In-N-Out burger.
No way.
It's in the New York Post.
Okay.
And what I find really fascinating about it is she apparently spoke freely with the person that spotted her. When asked if she was Ghislaine, she admitted it. And I'm blown away by the arrogance of this. Like, you should look it up.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right now. She was in Universal City? Give me a break.
This is since Jeffrey's death, apparently. She's leisurely hanging out at In-N-Out Burger. So I think that's more fodder to support the idea that she's an intelligence asset, and that likely Jeffrey's alive as well.
Wow. Yeah, this is breaking news. Thanks for the call. She's alive and well.
Yeah.
She was photographed Monday at Universal City, at freaking Universal City. I mean,
isn't that incredible?
Give me a break.
Hey, thanks so much for what you do, man. I really appreciate your work.
Oh, thanks.
Have a good one, man.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, cool. Well, we'll look at this article. Holy shit. Hey, guys, we found her. Okay, this is too much. This is too much, guys. Jeffrey Epstein's alleged madam and former lover Ghislaine Maxwell has been discovered at an In-N-Out burger. There's the picture of her. 57-year-old was photographed alive and well Monday at Universal City in Los Angeles. Once spotted, Maxwell told an onlooker, quote, "Well, I guess this is the last time I'll be eating here." Unquote. Maxwell, who was reading a book called The Book of Honor, The Secret Lives and Deaths of CIA Operatives, has been underground for months. Come on. Is this whole story a joke or what? Are they trying to mess with us? Maxwell, oh, give me a break. This story couldn't be any weirder. Well, thanks for the call. I really appreciate it. What do you say? How do you write in and out? I forgot. In and out. Got to do a big N, I guess. In Universal City, right? God. Oh my God. What a bunch of nonsense. She was reading. Oh my God. Yeah. If I made videos for YouTube anymore, I'd make a quick video about that. Secret Lives and Deaths of CIA Operatives. Wow. Give me a break. The Book of Honor, The Secret Lives and Deaths of CIA Operatives. Give me a break. This story's too much for me. Okay, I'll open up the phone again. Oops, it is open. 650-GAY-TAXI. This is not live if you're watching on YouTube. But thanks for tuning in anyway. If you decide to give a super chat, we take those. Oops. Wow. Lots of news going on in this world. We have the conjugal visit. We have the young woman meeting with Epstein in a locked room for at least 2 hours. Big news. 650-429-8294. Thanks, people are calling. You can also catch up with this show on the podcast. Anywhere podcasts are, you just look for Lift the Veil. Or you can go to soundcloud.com/altnews and find it there. She's Universal City. I mean, she wasn't trying to hide. And then somebody saw the book she was reading. My goodness. All right, we'll see if we get any other calls. And then if we don't, we'll wrap up, put it on YouTube, and tune in for the replay of the show. Are there any other points of order that we need to cover today, ladies and gentlemen? I got to look into what Donald Trump's saying about Israel. Okay. Let me play you guys out with something. And then we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you at the regular time, which is 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Just like the caller said, it's easy to tune in. All right. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate all the support. Check out the links in the description if you're interested in our affiliates. And that, for today, that's what it is.
Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born, he's a man of means. Then along come two, they got nothing but the genes. They got different strokes and takes, different strokes and takes, different strokes to move the world. Different strokes and takes, different strokes and takes, different strokes to move the world. Everybody's got a special kind of story. Everybody finds a way to shine. It don't matter that you got not a lot. So what? They'll have theirs and you'll have yours and I'll have mine. And together we'll be fine. 'Cause it takes different strokes to move the world. Yes, it does. It takes different strokes to move the world.
All right, guys. Till next time. Moo.